Isaac Newton once said, "If I can see further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of those who have gone ahead of me." Standing on the shoulders of giants. A lot of people will actually do better in life if they stood on the shoulders of other people who have gone ahead of them, if they drew from their wealth of knowledge. Catch Them Young is a platform where teenagers and young adults are exposed to practicing professionals who will guide them in the choice of a career. My name is Shogbade, and I am delighted to be your host. Today in the studio, I have a very beautiful young lady. She is a project manager, and she will be taking us on what it means to study project management, what it means to become a project manager, and what it takes to be a project manager. Her name is Rhoda Agwonigo. Welcome to the show, Rhoda.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. I'm sure the teenagers and young adults watching this right now are glad to be able to finally draw from your wealth of knowledge. So welcome once again.
Thank you.
So very quickly, I would want you to just give us a brief rundown of who Rhoda is, how Rhoda became a project manager. I'm sure people watching right now are like, what is project management? Because they are quite young, and project management is not really a very popular course among teenagers. You barely hear a teenager say, I want to study project management. Yes. So I would want you to talk to us a little on project management. But before then, how did you come about studying project management? Where did you study? Just give us a little background.
Okay. So like you said, like a lot of young teenagers don't know. When I was young, nobody told me that there was a thing called project management. Yeah. I think it was something that I kind of stumbled into. Okay. So just a bit about my background. I studied language arts from Obafemi Awolowo University. Okay. And at that time, I wanted to like go into media, do things in the media industry. But as I started to grow, I just found out that, I had this knack for making things happen. People would come and meet me and say, oh, I want to do this. I want to make this happen. I want to write this book. I want to launch this thing. And somehow I'm just on your neck, and we create a plan. Together. Yes, and it happened. So I think that was how I just started to grow into project management. And I remember that when I finished school, I started to intern at this organization as a programs manager. So I started really with internship. And I realized that, this is something that I actually have a knack for. This is something that I'm quite good at, and literally that's how I started my career. So project management is really just making things happen. Like in the simplest terms, it is really just making things happen. It is planning things, implementing things, and executing things. So especially projects. And a project can be anything. A project can be an event, it can be a show, it can be an award, it can be a book. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about project management. It is very broad. Like you can be a project manager in any industry, in any field. You can do anything with project management. You're not restricted. So for me, for example, I focus more on creative industries. So, fashion, media, creative industry, training, events, fashion programs, fashion training, and not just fashion, but like in the creative industry. But there are people who are project managers, and they're architectural project managers. So I want to build a house.
So it's quite a broad...
Yes, people, when you want to build a space, you need a project manager to come on board, because the work of the project manager, like I said, is really just making things happen. So you come to meet me and you say, oh, Rhoda, I want to make this happen. This is what I want to do, but I don't know how to make it happen. I don't know how to implement. I don't know how to put people together. I don't know how to create a budget. I just know that I need this thing to happen. And what a project manager does is the person steps in, takes that project, that desire, that vision from you, breaks it down. This is planning, this is execution, this is implementation, this is what it will cost, these are the people we will need, and they supervise that process until what needs to be done is done. It's literally that simple.
Wow. Okay, so how different is project management from event management? Because it sounds...
Similar.
Yes, very similar.
Okay, so what I would say is event management comes under project management. Because with event management, it's really about planning the event. But project management is even before the event starts. So with project management, it's more like, there's a vision. We need to create a strategy. Who are the people that need this thing? Event management is more about the occasion. Project management starts from like the very beginning, where like you have the thought and you're like, we need to create a strategy. So let me give I'm trying to think of a very good example now. So let's say, for example, you want to put together a training. you say that I want to empower 100 youths, and that is a project that you have. And, the end of this empowerment is going to be, an event where they will all gather and you have speakers and all of that. But from the very beginning, there's a vision. Beyond the event, there are things you need to do. Okay, so what is going to be my target with this thing? How am I going to create a budget around this thing? Who are the people that I need to be on board this thing? What schools do I need to reach out to? All of those things is where the project manager comes in. While the event manager comes in planning the main event. Okay. Do you understand? Like, when we have the physical thing.
Just
so that's
the event.
Yes, just the event. So like with event management, it's more about occasions, more about events. But with project management, it's so much more broader. So for example, see what I gave in the architecture space. You're not planning an event. I want to build a house. Okay. I need a project manager to come on board.
It's just a project.
Yes, it's just a project that you're planning. So that's the difference.
So any project manager can handle any project, or do they have to study a particular field?
Okay, so I think generally, there's a project management certification called PMP, which is a project management professional. Okay. So it's not necessarily restricted to an industry. It just teaches you the necessities of being a project manager. From strategy to implementation to leadership to budget. But then you now decide, where you want to create your niche. Yeah. And the truth is, the more you function in a particular space, the better you are with it. Someone like me now, I can't come and say that I want to plan an architectural project because I'm not I'm not so good with like all the building things, dealing with like the building guys and everything. But someone like me, I can plan any project in the creative industry. You want to put together a women's conference, I can plan it. Okay. You want to put together a fashion outreach, I can plan it. You want to do something with your NGO. And I also have to clarify that with projects, it's not just about events. Okay. It's not just about, I want to do an event. It can just be that, I want to do a show or I want to create a program. I want to create a thing. It's not just about like the event itself. So like when you go to study, you're not necessarily taught to focus on one thing. Yes, because it's very wide. But it's you that now say, okay, what am I interested in? What field am I interested in? And as you start to grow in that field, you start to like know the terminologies of the field, the things you need to know about that field. Okay.
So for teenagers and young adults watching us right now who want to be project managers, from what you've said, quite interesting. Anybody watching right now automatically wants to become a project manager because literally everybody wants to make things happen in the world. So if I want to make things happen, I should be a project manager. But if I want to be a project manager, what skills do you think that they should need? Because for a journalist, you would say you have to be curious, you have to be inquisitive and all that. So for project managers, are there some inbuilt skills that they should have, or natural talents or skills that they should acquire?
So I don't think that they are inbuilt skills. I mean, some people are better organizers than others. But then if it's something that you feel like I'm interested in this, these are things that you can learn. So I'll say for a project manager, you have to be really good at organizing. Like organizing is very important. You also have to be really good at implementation. Meaning beyond saying, this is what we want to do, you have to be really good at creating a structure of implementation. Like this is the first step. You also have to be really good with people. Like it is people management is so important because you need to be able to manage like the different people that you be on the project with. On a project you're working with the owner of the project, you're working with the event planner, you're working with like vendors, you're working with so many people. So you have to be really, really good with people. You have to be really, really good with implementation and organizing, like being able to put 1 and 2, and you have to be a problem solver. Wow. Very important. I've realized that a lot of times when we're on project and something goes wrong, everybody's coming to the project manager. Even when you did not cause the problem.
For this.
Yes, so you have to be a problem solver. And these things might sound like things that, you should have already. But the truth is that I've learned that you get better at these things. There's some things that you might not be very good with. But the more you do it, the better. For example, when I started, I don't think I was very good with people. I mean, all I just wanted is we need to get something done. Why is it not being done? But I started to learn that, I need to be able to study people. Where's this person at? How can I manage this person? This person has a strength. Yes, what's this person's weakness? What's this person's strength? How can I leverage it so that everybody's coming together, to make the project happen? So I'll say those are like the skills that you need.
Thank you very much. So to study project management, you have to understand people very well. So those who can't tolerate people,
you will learn it.
Will learn it, right? So you have to either learn it or drop it. We'll go on a short break right now, and when we are back, we'll continue to draw from Rhoda's wealth of knowledge. Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ. Welcome back. This is still Catch Them Young on Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. In the studio, we still have Rhoda Agonigo, a project manager who is taking us on the steps, everything that it takes to be a project manager, the challenges, the benefits, everything it takes to be a project manager. She's still in the studio with us, and we are still having a discourse with her. So before we went on the break, you were telling us about the skills that we need to develop if we want to be project managers, because it's quite a very, very interesting course and a very interesting career. So you talked about the fact that project management is about getting things done. Yeah. Project management is about planning, implementing, executing. So it's not just about somebody coming to you and saying, I want to do this, and you just plan it and give it to them. Yes. Because I know some people do that. There are people that you just, okay, this is what I want to do. You just say, okay, this is how I think it can go. But project management is, project managers literally stay with you till the end. That's what you're saying. So if I want to set up an organization, for example, I can come to you as a project manager and you can draw out plans for me. Yes. You will do the execution yourself and I just go to rest. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Yes. Literally. That's it, actually. Okay. So I want you to tell us about the challenges in this career, because so far you've spoken so well about it, and you know everybody wants to be a project manager, but tell us the challenges so we can know what we are going into. Okay. So challenges, I think I'll start with what I said lastly, which is people. You know, a project cannot happen without people. And sometimes you get on a project and the people that you bring on board to leverage their strengths just decide that they don't want to be effective. And it can be quite difficult because, you know, I said earlier that project managers are problem solvers. So once the owner of a project hands over a project to you, they don't want to know why it's not being done, because they believe that, you know, I've handed it over to you, it has to be done. So sometimes, you know, managing people can be quite difficult because, you know, somebody probably forgets to do what they should have done, or somebody decides to be laid back about their work. The blame is on you. Yes, and as a project manager, you then have to then stretch yourself, you know, in different directions. And even when the project comes to life, you're already exhausted, like, finally, can I just take a break? You know, so I think that's one of the challenges that comes with it. I think another thing would just be how stretching it can be. Because as a project manager, you're involved in every single part of the project. And you're not involved passively. You're involved actively. So as a project manager, even if you've gotten somebody to, let me just use like the best thing we can think of is maybe like an event. So even if you've gotten an event planner, you are still actively involved in planning the event, because the event planner would only think about the vendors, this. But as a project manager, you're thinking about ambience, you're thinking about your guests, you're thinking about, you know, how the event sounds to people. So you are still very involved in that event management. Even if you've gotten somebody to handle your tech, so maybe to handle the screen and all of those things, you're still very involved in it, because the person can go and put something that, you know, should not go up, because the project manager is involved in every single detail of it. So it can be very stretching. You know, you're stretching yourself in multiple dimensions, and you have to have a knowledge of everything. As a project manager, you have to have a knowledge. You can't say that, okay, I'm a project manager, so I don't have any business with food. But you have to have a knowledge of like, what you want. Knowledge. Exactly. So you have to like have very vast knowledge. I think another challenge is, you know, budget. So I've had scenarios where people come and they say, oh, you know, I want to plan this event. And we're like, okay, this is how we're going to make it work, And they come and say, this is the budget that I have. And when I mean budget, sometimes the budget is not even like budget for your fee, but budget to make the project happen. So it becomes a challenge. You know, how am I supposed to work with this budget to deliver this level of quality? So it can be quite straining, because you're thinking, oh, where can I cut costs? Where can I, you know, involve collaboration? Where can I make things happen? And, you know, once you even accept that budget,
you've said that I can make it happen.
Yeah.
So you have to work with it and make it happen. And it can be quite challenging because sometimes, you know, when you start your project, you create a budget and it looks like you have a great project budget. And then you start to implement your project. And of course, we know the kind of country that we live in, you know, along the line, you start to see that things cost way more. You know, things are higher than you thought and you still have to make it work within that budget. So there are times that you have to stretch yourself and maybe even take out of what should have been like your service fee and everything. Wow. Because I believe that as a project manager, one very important thing is the excellence of your delivery. You know, if you're coming on board a project, you have to make sure that you're delivering excellently. It's best to stretch yourself and do it well than just do anything. So I think sometimes budget can also be a challenge. So I think those are like the major things.
It sounds like a major challenge.
It can be a major challenge because sometimes when you start a project, nobody wants to, this is what we've planned, this is what we've given you. Nothing more is coming. You have to work with it.
Even when you're trying to explain to them that along the line, things are looking more expensive.
Yes.
But can't you turn down certain projects?
Oh, of course you can.
The budget won't work for it.
No, of course you can. So I'm saying in the case that you've taken on a project, yes. But of course, there are some projects that I've turned down because I'm just like, this is quite ridiculous. You know, what you want to achieve is up there. And you know, what you're willing to give for it is like way below. So like I said, excellence is important. There's sometimes that you see that with a certain level of budget, there's no way that you'll be able to deliver excellently. So it's best to turn it down. But if you're going to take it on, you know, be ready to take it on and like deliver excellently. Yes.
Thank you very much. So from what you've said, do you have a team? Because it sounds like project managers should have a team, because when people give you contracts, this is what we want you to do and all, do they give you people to work with, or you have to sort for people yourself? Okay, so it's usually a mix of both. I've had situations where all they needed was a project manager, and I've had situations where they just needed to make the project happen. So as a project manager, I had to leverage, you know, bring in my team, bring in external vendors and all of that. But I've also had situations where, you know, they already have people that they want to work with, but they just need a project manager to make things happen, to supervise everybody, you know, to bring everybody together and make it happen. But it's a mix of the two. But I personally have a team of people that I work with, even on my project team. And then I also have, like, you know, countless list of like vendors, people that, you know, I can collaborate with, that I can work with, you know, just in case. It's usually a mix of two. Some projects you don't need anybody, you just need yourself, or maybe your immediate project team. Some projects you're the one, you know, literally bringing everybody together, bringing everything together. But do you prefer working with your team than? Of course. I prefer working with my team because it solves the people problem. Because I already know their strengths. I know my people. They're used to working with me. You know, I know who to trust to deliver this. I know who not to trust to deliver this. You know, it's easier to manage emotions when it's people that you're familiar with. But then every time you come on a project and it's new people, it's like, we're starting this process all over again. So yes, I prefer working with my team. All right, thank you very, very much. So we would love you to pitch for your career, because people out there, teenagers out there, want to know that they are going into a very interesting and important course. You know, for lawyers, they would brag about it and say, if not for lawyers, we wouldn't have people solving cases, there would be injustice. If not for journalists, you wouldn't be able to cover events, you wouldn't even know what's going on. So for project managers, I want you to tell us the importance of project managers. Just pitch for your career and tell us what the world would be like without project managers. Without project managers, there won't be anything happening in the world. Because you literally need project managers to make everything happen. In fact, a lot of people actually work as project managers, but they don't know that they are project managers. That is literally how important like a lot of people function as project managers. Project management is so important because in the world right now, we're always doing projects. We're building something, creating something, announcing something, organizing something, and you always need somebody to make that happen. You need somebody to put that together. And see, one very interesting thing about project management is that you're not restricted. You know, just as a project manager, I have worked, you know, in the art space, I've worked in the fashion space. I've had to sit down with like top people that normally I would have no business sitting down with them. But because they need my service, you know, I've had opportunities to go to places where I have no business going to on a normal day, but because they need my services. So project management literally opens doors to you, like in different places. There are projects that you work on and it will take you out of the country.
You know, there are projects that you work on, it will take you to sit down before presidents and kings. And I'm not joking. I'm not trying to, I'm serious.
No, you're pitching for your career,
yes,
so
like
it's fine.
and I feel like people don't really understand like the diversity, how interesting and how flexible it can be. You're like literally not restricted. You're only maybe restricted to like the industries that you function in. But even like another very interesting thing about project management is now I function more in the creative space. But I can wake up one morning and say I'm more interested in, you know, tech. And I want to transition, and I can easily transition from being, you know, a creative project manager to working in the tech space because it's still about making things happen. It's still literally the same principles. What career can give you that? You can't wake up and say that, you know, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, it's not possible. But you can say, I don't want to be a law project manager. I want to start to plan projects in the medical space.
It's flexible.
It's very flexible. Like, you can move from one place to the other. So,
it's fine. People like us still want to maintain our profession, despite the fact that you've made it look as if everybody should become project managers. But it's a very, very interesting course of study. It's a very, very interesting career. We'll go on a short break, and when we are back, we will continue on what it takes to be a project manager. I'm sure it's been an interesting discourse so far. Stay with us. Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ. Welcome back. This is still Catch Them Young on Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. Catch Them Young is a platform where teenagers and young adults are exposed to practicing professionals who will guide them in the choice of a career. Today, we still have in the studio Rhoda Agwanigo, who is a project manager. And before we went on the break, she was talking to us on what it means to be a project manager. We've discussed the challenges she has faced throughout her journey as a project manager, the skills you need to develop to become a project manager. And right now, we'd just like you to talk to us on the course of study. If I want to become a project manager, what do I have to study in the university?
So I would say that you can study courses that has to do with administration, you know, business admin, sociology, courses in social sciences and administration, and also courses in arts. So for example, I studied language arts. It just gave me a very good foundation on, you know, how to understand people, relate with people. And the thing about project management is that right now, I don't think we have a project management degree in a Nigerian university, but there are certifications and courses that you can take, you know, once you're done with school. But it's really good to have like a background knowledge or background education. So doing something in administration or in linguistics or in arts or in social sciences, you know, something that would really help because you just have like a bit of background on how to manage people, how to make things happen. But if you're already doing something in sciences, I'm not saying that you can't be a project manager. You can always come out and take courses. I mean, someone like me, I studied language arts, but when I came out, I still took professional courses in project management. So it wasn't like a one step thing.
So we have professional courses in project management in Nigeria, but we don't really have that course.
In fact, the professional courses are more recognized. So for example, you can be a doctor, your background can be in medicine, but if you have like a PMP certificate, you are recognized as a global project manager.
So how long does it take to
So they are different, you know, there's some that you take for 3 months, there's some that you take for 6 months, there's some that you take for 1 year.
That's the highest, the maximum.
No, so I mean, just like any other professional certificate, you know, when you're done, there's another one that you do. You just keep on like growing and all of that.
But you can practice as a project manager. You just won't be recognized if you don't.
Well, does recognition come from taking course or from being good at what you do?
Some people are more about the certificates.
I found out that, I'll be very honest, I found out that people recognize you more for your excellency than your certificate. I don't think anybody has ever asked me if I have a certification in project management.
Because they've seen what you can do.
I don't think anybody has ever. So, I mean, there are some, let me put this way, there are some industries that you go into and they want to know the certifications that you have. So there's some industries that are very professional.
Yes.
So as a project manager, they want to know, but then at the same time, it's not the basis for your recognition.
Okay.
The basis for your recognition is, you know, how good you are with your work. What's your track record? What have you done? What can you deliver?
Okay. But is it, I think it's more advisable for those who are just starting out. You know, you've gone through this path, so people already know what you can do. So it's easy for them to refer you and then, okay, I know what she can do. So they don't need your certificates. They don't need to see it. But what about those who are just starting out?
Okay, true. So if you're just starting out,
yeah.
I mean, you can take like courses. I mean, there are courses on Google. There are like companies
online
that do,
courses.
yes, there are even like registered companies that do like project management certification, the global one, and they take you do it for like 6 months to 1 year. But if you're just starting out, honestly, I would recommend more of an online course, and I would recommend more of an internship, because it gives you an opportunity to, first of all, have a background knowledge, and then also have like experiential knowledge, and then you're able to decide if it's what I really want to do. So as you grow in it, then you can then go and pay like hundreds of thousands to do like a professional certification.
Okay, so you're saying that those who have already studied in the sciences, in other aspects, can still become project managers. All they need to do is take a course.
All you need to do is take a course, practice, you know, become good, continue growing, continue learning.
So how would you advise those who want to start out to practice? Because if you're just starting out, of course, you won't really get opportunities. People won't require your service. They won't ask for your service because you don't have any track record.
Yes.
They've not seen what you can do. So how would you advise them to practice? In what ways can they practice?
So remember that I said that project management is making things happen. There are a lot of people around you that want to make things happen. I mean, you don't have to. Sometimes I feel like we wait for this big opportunity. But a lot of times you can just look around you, see a friend that is trying to start a business, and you say, you know what, let me work with you on this and make this happen. You know, you can look around you, see you have an aunt that is maybe trying to launch something or trying to do something. You can just reach out to people and say that this thing that you're doing, I actually like it. So for example, I have a friend who's running for office now. If I was interested in coming into that political space and making projects happen, I can reach out to him and say, you know what, let me come on your campaign team and, you know, help you with planning this project and this campaign. You know, it's that wide, and I can just, from there, right now I have zero experience in managing political projects, but that would be like an entry for me, and I might not be so good at it, but I'm learning something. So like that's really how I feel like you can start. You don't always have to wait for one big opportunity. Just look around you, you know, who are people trying to do things. And another thing is also the industry that you decide to function in. You know, like I said, you can be an architectural project manager, you can be an engineering project manager, whatever it is. So even in the industry that you're trying to function in, you know, who are the people doing things there already? Is there somebody you can work with? Is there somebody you can intern with? Sometimes we want to start and we want somebody to hand us, you know, our own project. But you can't, you need trust to do that. So why don't you look for people who are doing that, you know, and just kind of join with them and, oh, how can I help you? How can I assist you? There's been a lot of times that I've function as a project assistant so many times, you know, beyond running my, even now, there's still some level of projects that are really on a huge scale that I function as a project assistant, not as a project manager. And I'm also learning how to, you know, manage big projects like that.
So it's not something you learn one time, you keep learning.
I don't think there's anything that you learn one time. You know, you keep on climbing and becoming better.
So speaking of that, are you open to mentoring the next generation? For example, there are people watching right now. I want to be a project manager. There's nobody around me who is a project manager. Okay, this is Rhoda on this show. Are you open to mentoring?
Okay, so that's a very tricky one. You're putting me on the spot. But actually I am. But then just asking me that you're interested in like the industry that I'm in. Because the truth is, well, you will learn the basics, but it won't be as interesting if you are not interested in like the creative industry. So for example, I'm currently managing an arts project. You know, if you're not interested in something like that, you'll just be tired and you're just like, what are we doing here and everything. But if it's something that you're interested in, then yes, it's something that I can take you on a journey with me on.
So you're open to join. You're open for people to join your team. If you want to join Rhoda's team, you want to become a project manager, you want to intern, people can intern with you. Do you have to give them a particular duration? Yes,
definitely, because it's always good that it's specific. So that way, even on my end, you know, whatever it is that you're learning is tailored to fit that time frame. So it's usually 3 months.
Okay. So you intern for 3 months?
If you want to intern
with
it's
you,
3 months.
okay, 3 months.
Because I've had like short internships, I've had
Okay.
long internships. Sometimes it's based on projects.
Okay,
So like if a
okay,
project is
okay.
happening and I'm interning on the project and it's just 1 month, once the project is done, you know, it's kind of done.
So you can intern long term and you can intern based on
Yes.
projects.
So with me, for example, I run an organization,
Okay.
and one of the services that we offer is project management.
Okay.
So that's why there's a structure to our internship. Like it can be 3 months because it's an organization. But like there's some people who are just freelance. It's just depending on when they have projects that you can intern. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's nice. So for project managers, how do they put themselves out there? For example, I've decided I want to become a project manager, and then I've taken courses. People don't trust my brand yet because I don't have that much opportunity. Or I've had little opportunities, like you said, to handle family business, handle my church events and all that. How do I make people see me as how do I get recognized? Are there offices that require project managers as staff?
Yes.
So people put out vacancies there and say they want to employ project managers.
Yes, there are organizations that put out applications for project management.
Okay.
So remember that I said that project management is very industry specific.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a 9-to-5 as a project manager once where I was in there for a year, because project management is actually a very important part of organizations. And like I said, project is not just about events, it's about things that they want to do. Or we want to launch this app, we want to launch this initiative, we want to launch this training. Like a project can be anything. So the organizations that actually, you know, would rather have in-house project managers, and there's some organizations that would rather work with like freelance project management or outsource to project management companies. So as a project manager, you can either decide that, you know what, I want to work with an organization. If it works for you, that's perfect. And you can decide that, you know, I want to freelance, I want to, you know, do my own thing. And then how people can know about your work is, number one, when you do good work, people would always recommend you. That's number one. Number two, we're in a digital age. You know, when you do your things, where do you put it? Do you, the little ones that you've done, did you go and hide it somewhere? Because, oh, it's not perfect. It doesn't look, the pictures didn't come out so well. Or I didn't take professional pictures, so I don't want to put it out. No matter what you've done, no matter how little it is, put it out there. You never know who is looking or who's watching, or who you like. Opportunities just come from the places that you can't imagine. It can just be that somebody's having a conversation and just like, oh, I even need somebody to handle this, and then somebody just remembers that you posted something like that. Like I've had too many instances like that. So, you know, push your work out there by using your own space. Don't wait for one company or one person to come and push you out. What are you posting on your WhatsApp? You know, what are you posting on your Instagram? Are you using these things? And even when you do your work, you know, let the people around you know that, you know, I did this so and it was okay and all of that. Just those little things are things that will start to push you out. You know, even, for example, me being on this show, it was because you saw something on either my status or something, because I put it out there.
Thank you very, very much. So if you want to push yourself out there as a project manager, push out what you do, post it online, take advantage of the digital age that we are in. People will also recommend you if you do well. So all you have to do, right, is do your work, do it well, and then tell people about what you do. Don't hide yourself, no matter how small it is. In other words, don't get intimidated by other people doing bigger things, executing bigger projects. So finally, on a final note, I would love you to give advice to teenagers and young adults, because they are our audience right now. Teenagers and young adults watching us right now, what advice would you give to them if they want to venture into project management?
Okay, so I think the first thing would be to start where you are.
Okay.
You know, you don't have to wait for one big window or one big opportunity. Sometimes we look at people who have gone ahead of us and we make the mistake of comparing ourselves, and we forget that they started from somewhere. So if you feel like this project management thing is something I'm interested in, I'm not even sure which industry I want to major in yet, just start where you are. Look for like immediate opportunities around you. You know, is there somebody that you can work with, somebody that you can talk to? I mean, I've said that project management is literally planning anything. So like, is there something that you're doing in your church? You know, because a lot of times we're looking for opportunities, and within our church there are so many opportunities. You know, so just look around you. Is there anywhere that I can connect and just, you know, the little organization skills that I have, can I chip it in here? Yes, so I'll say start from where you are. Another thing I'll say is please give to study and becoming better. You know, don't just say that, okay, I've done one and I'm, yes, or like I have it inside of me. Always study, always sit down and, you know, take courses, listen to people, look at people, watch things. You know, another thing that I would say is also expand what you see. You know, give your mind exposure. Sometimes just go on YouTube, you know, put in project management, see what is happening, in the US, see what is happening in the UK. Don't just like limit your mind to so what is like immediately in front of you, like expose your mind. And then another thing, or the last thing that I would say is like it requires work and consistency. There's nothing that you will do, nothing good that you will do. In fact, I think even bad things. There's nothing that you will do that does not require work and consistency. Like you require work. I said it earlier on that project management is stretchy. You know, because like 1,000,001 people are calling you at the same time. 1,000,001 people are asking you to do something. Sometimes you come on the scene and you have no business carrying a ladder or carrying a banner, and you have to carry it, you know. So it requires a lot of hard work, and it also requires a lot of consistency. Consistency meaning that, you know, there are times that you might have failed projects. There are times that a failed project is when a project does not achieve its objective. You know, there are times you might have failed project and, you know, you feel disappointed, but just keep on going at it, keep on doing it, and, you know, it gets better.
Oh, thank you very much. So would you like to tell us your social media platforms?
On Instagram, I am at Rhoda Agwonigo, RHODA, and then my surname. Actually, everywhere, if you put Rhoda Agwonigo on Google, you'll see all my platforms.
There's just one Rhoda.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So you're on Facebook, Instagram?
Yes, Facebook, Twitter? Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was Rhoda Agwonigo, a project manager. She took us on a very smooth ride on what it takes to be a project manager in Nigeria, outside Nigeria. So if you are a teenager watching us right now, a young adult watching us right now, and you want to venture into project management, I'm sure that this has been very, very enlightening. You can also connect with Rhoda on her social media platforms. Don't forget, this is still Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. And if you're watching this show right now and project management is not your area, stay tuned for more episodes on Catch Them Young. My name is Praise Shogbade, and I am delighted to be your host. You can follow Divine TV on all social media platforms at Divine TV. You can also download our mobile app on Play Store or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Divine TV. Thank you for staying with us.